Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen. Ms. McRae from Rheinhausen Maschinenfabrik will present their challenges that they had with their existing management system, and they did a search on the market, and they came up to Symbio and decided to go into the future with us together. And we work very closely together, and it makes a lot of fun to work together with this team. And I want to say thank you also that you are joining this conference, and thanks for working together and have this a lot of fun in the project. Okay, that's your stage. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So good afternoon from my side. I have some small issues here with my presentation. Now it works. My name is Stefanie McRae. I'm working with Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen since a bit more than 5 years. Before working for Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen, I worked as a consultant in a consultancy company called IDS Share. So process-wise, I grew up with ARIS and found ARIS again in Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen. But as Mr. Zeller just mentioned, we decided to switch to Symbio a couple of months before. And I will give you a small insight in what we are doing in Symbio at the moment, or how we try to handle our challenges as a mid-sized but global acting company with Symbio. So on my agenda, I have a small company portrait of the Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen to give you an idea what we are dealing with, what our business is. And then I will show you the Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen, or MR process performance management, what we call it, some things from today and a glance in what we are going to have in future. Process performance system-wise, also the process description we've been working on with Platz and Zeller, our organizational chart, which we included into Symbio, and the filters and permissions, and a small conclusion. So MR is located in Regensburg in Bavaria. We've been founded in 1868, so we will have our 150-year anniversary this year. We are an independent, majorly family-owned company in the 5th generation, and we are a world market leader in transformer switching. So our main process, or our main business, is to build on-load tap changes, which are steering the big transformers, which helps everybody in the world to have a stable electricity. So we have a bit more than 3,400 employees at the moment. 75% of them are located in Germany at different locations in Germany, and also different companies, legal entities in Germany. 90% of our production are from Germany, and from this 90%, another 90% goes into export. At the moment, we have 38 subsidiaries worldwide and 6 companies affiliated to Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen, or to the Rheinhausen Group. And at the moment, we have a turnover yearly about 750 million euro, and very good rankings at the banks. So a bit more than 50% of the worldwide electricity consumption passes through any of our products. And more than 80% of all our products which were ever delivered are still in operation today. So they are really stable and have a long product life cycle. That's just a quick glance about the company and how we grew. We've been founded in Regensburg, in Rheinhausen, which is a city district of Regensburg, in 1868. In 1901, the company was renamed to Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen, or MR, which is also our global brand, or our main brand. In 1926, the first high-speed resistor type tap changer was built, and we have a patent on that, and we have a lot of patents established, and we have our own office for the patents here in Regensburg. In 1995, the first vacuum tap was registered. That is one of our main newer products, but we still have a lot of products in place which are much older than that. So just a quick glance to the products we're producing. The main product, as mentioned before, is a tap changer. In 2000, that was the first vacuum-based tap changer, but the old oil tap built in 1973 is still the main product from our company, which is in place and in the market. And the product family is growing and growing. Within the company, we have different legal entities and also different what we call company visions. That's how we cluster our businesses. We have the manufacturing side, where we have a company or brand called Value Factoring. They do a lot in Industry 4.0. They do all the optimization of our machinery and production flows. We have the company Power Composite. They do this GFRP cylinders, which are also built within the tap changers and also insulators. Then we have the business unit Transformer, which is transformer control. So everything which is used to control transformers, like thermometers, things like that, the transformer automation, where we deal with fleet management, predictive maintenance, lots of data, big data, and very important for us too is the transformer service. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of products. More than 80% of our products are still in place, are still working. So we have a lot of service business going on. And we have the third cluster, which is called Power Quality, where we build systems for critical grid nodes to stabilize the power control there. And we also have the high volt testing in Dresden. They build huge testing machineries, really big project businesses. Just to give you an idea how our main product, tap changer, is working, you can compare it with a car. So if you have a car with cruise control, you put in a speed you want to go, and what the gear in the or the cruise control in the car does is the same our voltage regulators and the tap changer does in the transformer. They make sure that when the car runs at the same speed, that the transformer is always giving a constant voltage. So that's really quick how a tap changer is working or what a tap changer is doing. As I mentioned before, we have 38 subsidiaries worldwide and 6 affiliated companies. What's quite interesting and what is really a challenge for us in-house, what you can see on the left side is more or less everything which belonged to the Rheinhausen Group from founding in 1868 till 2010. And the whole right side is, or are the subsidiaries or companies, the acquisitions from 2010 onwards. So we are growing tremendously, and that's exactly the challenge we are having when we are talking about business process management. How do we bring all those subsidiaries, all those different companies with sometimes the same processes? When it's a subsidiary we founded just in another country to be closer to the market and closer to our customers. They have more or less the same processes, but they are also companies we bought, and they have different processes, but we still have the challenge to have one global process management system for all the companies and subsidiaries which belong to the Rheinhausen Group. Just really quick, some numbers, data, and facts. I mentioned before we have 3,400 employees, our experts worldwide. We are not a really huge company, but we still have the same issues a big company is facing with all the subsidiaries and all the products, the different processes worldwide. And that's why we decided to switch to Symbio and give it a try with Symbio. We won quite a few prizes and awards. What's really interesting for us is the Industry 4.0 award. We won the first one in Germany. We are one of the 100 most innovative companies in Germany. This is a great place to work every 2 years. So we are on a quite high level when it comes to that, even though being a small unknown company or a hidden champion in Regensburg. So to our MR process performance system, which is probably more interesting for you than the Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen. Today we have our process performance system, how we call it in a wiki. That is just the overview. When we want to see a process model of one of the subsidiaries, we come to this page and you can see that we have 4 different business process models or process performance systems in wiki today. The challenges we are having is that the structure we have in the wiki today is not really the organizational structure we have in place due to organizational changes we had. We have a tremendous effort to update the global process changes in the local models because all the models are independent from each other. We have no transparency within the process models, if it is a global process, if it is a local process, if it is different from the global process, where it's different from the global process. And the main reason why we decided not to continue with the system we are having today is, first of all, that we said we want to have one global system. The wiki cannot do that. It's more or less just showing what we put in there. And in the background, we have the ARE system where we do the detailed processes, which is quite complex and not really easy to handle for the people doing the modeling and the updates of the processes. So last year we did a project and had a look at a few different process performance or business process models or business process systems, and we decided to use Symbio from now on. Just as an example, I took a picture of the Rheinhausen manufacturing process model, which is our subsidiary in the United States, with different locations in the United States. And the process model or process house is the same in the whole group, but you can see that some of the icons in here, some of the objects are gray, and those are the objects which are not valid for the Rheinhausen manufacturing. Valid meaning that they get input for those processes from Germany, from Regensburg, Rheinhausen, but they don't do it themselves. The other processes in white are the processes they do locally in the subsidiary, and they have a different person responsible or process owner for the different processes locally, but they cannot easily see who is the global process owner of the process. What we built in Symbio and what we will use in future is the global process house of the Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen or the Rheinhausen Group. We have more or less one-to-one the processes in there we had in our old process model in the wiki system. And from here we can decide if we want to see the CRM, customer relationship management processes, product lifecycle management, and so forth. So we can either do the navigation from the process house or use the more Explorer-like version on the site in Symbio. Since we decided to work with one global business process model, we use the filters. So that's something brand new, which will come as shown before with the newest version of Symbio within the next days or weeks. I'm not sure, Mr. Zeller can say more about the timeline. So what we do is we work with filters to filter out what is relevant for users. So if somebody from Rheinhausen Manufacturing, from the US entity, is looking into the process model, he is seeing all the processes which are in place, but some of them are just gray, so that the person looking at the process model can see, okay, there is a process, but it's not necessarily relevant for me, or I don't have to do anything there. If you have a filter where you see everything, and you can dig into detail. What we use as filter criteria at Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen is the organization, so the legal entity, the location, meaning where is the subsidiary located, and we work with tags. For the tags, we use what I've shown before, transformer, manufacturing, and power, so our company visions. To do the filter criteria and also to get rid of the organizational charts we have in PowerPoint today, we decided to also have the organizational chart in Symbio. So that's what we did. We built the whole organization in Symbio, and I personally think it looks much nicer. The way you see on the bottom of the screen, you have the names in there, you have the pictures of the people in there. We did a load from our Active Directory to get all the persons into the Symbio, all the users, and we also have the single sign-on so that everybody in the group can sign into the system and look at the data he or she is allowed to see. That's the organizational chart. We work with the org units and the roles, and have the whole Rheinhausen group included into the organizational chart. So you see the different legal entities in here, and then you can see the management and the different processes. Sorry, it's in German. I have to apologize for that. Then we have within the repository the different locations. So we put a lot of effort in there to really put the different locations we have in the different countries and the different areas in here to use them. And as I mentioned before, as tags, we are using what we have here as a company vision, manufacturing, transformer, and power, because the processes used by these different company visions are quite different. We have a really strong project business in the power area. In transformer, we have a lot of service, but also the product business. And in manufacturing, it's again a different business type. So in addition to the filters, we use the permissions. So we set up permission groups and adding the users from our Active Directory, which we have in Symbio, into these groups. And by that, we can define which filters the user groups are allowed to see, either one filter or also multiple filters, so that they can switch the filter criteria. And we set these permissions to all the process levels, to the services, to various home sites for each group. And what we are still working on is to the guidelines we have in the system, because it's also one aim we are having. We want to have the Symbio really as a single point of truth. So if you work on a process, you should also be allowed to see the guidelines, the work instructions related to this process. But there are a lot of restrictions. Not everybody should have access to all the guidelines. For example, might be the same in other companies. We have 2 locations in China, a production site and sales and service site, and we don't want to share all our guidelines and work instructions and production instructions with the people in China. The effects as shown before in the presentation are that we have different groups. We have different groups for viewers, not related to the processes as shown here in this slide, but related to the organizational unit and the company vision the person belongs to and has the permission to view, and a management group, which is more or less allowed to see all the processes, like our managers from the different processes, the global process owners, they can see more or less everything. Another topic we covered with Platz and Zeller when we started the project, because that was something really important for us. We have process descriptions for each and every process in our wiki system today, and we wanted to have those in the same logic in Symbio. So that's the reason why Symbio said, okay, we are going to develop that and put that in place for you. Today for us, it's a huge manual effort to maintain those process descriptions in each and every process model for each and every process and process step. So what is in place now in Symbio and what we are building up at the moment is the process description in Symbio, where we use, just go to the next slide, where we just do the data maintenance within the process and select not the detailed or the swim lane, but the process profile. And in the setup of Symbio, we have 2 different process profiles set up, where we say, okay, we want to have the process description on top, and we pull the information which we maintain in the data here as the process on process level and show them in our process description. So we have the process input, the process output, we have the global process owner and the local process owner in here. We have the primary process user, the business unit using this process, the KPIs which are related to this process, and we work with either links to the KPIs or to other objects we have within Symbio. We build all the methods in Symbio, and we also have the information about the previous process and the subsequent process. And also when we print a handout, that is part of the handout for the process. So just a short conclusion. By using Symbio for our business process management, we have the following benefits. We just have one database or one process model for the whole Rheinhausen group and a single point of truth instead of various numbers of process models, which we have to maintain. By using the filters and permissions to show the content relevant for specific user groups, like organizational units or locations, we can filter or give the right permissions and only show the content relevant for the users. We have the organizational chart integrated in Symbio. We have all users from our Active Directory automatically in Symbio and a single sign-on, so the users don't have to bother with passwords and usernames and things like that. And we have a reduced effort for the maintenance of the MR process performance model due to this one generic model. And from our point of view, we have quite an intuitive user interface for the viewers, but also for the architects and approvers and the people who are working on building the processes in Symbio. So that's it from my side. Thank you for your time, and I'm not sure how I can see the questions, if there are any. Mr. Zeller, you have to help me with that.
Yeah, we will help. So thank you very much for this. It was very good. And yeah, are there any questions? So Mikael is sitting in front of the questionnaires or the questions. Are there anything? So you can also use, there's something coming up, or you can also use the chat. Okay.
There's a question. Oh, there are more questions. So how many authors do you have modeling in Symbio?
At the moment, 5.
5.
But we will have more. We are still working on the permissions to give access and the rights to some of the users in the business units, so that they can do their own processes or the changes at the processes and share that with us. We are also working on an approval process. We have a very simple rule for approving the processes. We always have the global process owner to approve. We always have our person responsible for the quality management and all our audits and certifications, who needs to approve each and every process. And we have people like myself, the process experts, who are approving the processes as well.
Thanks. The next question, how do you make sure that the inputs in the process and the inputs you model on process level are in sync? The same question also for the outputs.
We know that they are not in sync today, and that's the next step or challenge we have in front of us. We are going to build end-to-end processes as the next step, but the Symbio is also the base to do that. We try to build up the processes in Symbio so that we have like little bricks, like Lego bricks, and just grab these bricks and bring them together. And when we do that, we will find out if we really have the right input and output from the processes and the right interfaces between the processes.
The next question is the process description view designed for Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen, or will it be on the cloud version of Symbio?
That's a question you might be able to answer. I mean, it's a standard which is available in Symbio. So on premise, it is available, I guess, for everybody. And what we did is the same. You can configure your home screen, that we decided which part of the process description we want to see in the middle, on the left, up or down, in which color, which column, and so forth.
So it can also.
With the cloud, you might be able to answer. We are not using the cloud. We have the solution on premise.
Yeah, yes, Maschinenfabrik Rheinhausen is using on-premise at the moment, but it's the same installation like in the cloud. So, but in the near future, it could be also possible that we switch from one day to another day into the cloud. But that really depends on the strategy from Maschinenfabrik. But there's a lot of opportunity. You can use it in the cloud, or you can use it on-premise.
So the next question, how do you make sure that the employees get the changes in the processes, or how do employees see that there is a change?
Well, if the employee is interested in specific processes or changes, there's a functionality that they can do an abonnement of the process and get information if there are any changes, and also the information which processes were changed lately are to be seen on the home screen.
Thanks for your presentation. It was quite informative, and thank you again that you joined us in our Innovation Day and your time. I hope our attendees also had also viewed your presentation with interest, and thanks again.
Ms. McRae? Yes, Oliver. Can you tell me a little bit about what will be the next steps in the future? Is, for example, the SAP synchronization with the solution manager a point, or are there other strategic points that we will focus on the BPM? Can you say something to this?
Well, the next important step for us, as mentioned before, is to build the end-to-end processes. Our business process model we are having today is structured really functional. It's more related to the organizational units. We've been discussing the integration into the solution manager, but since we are just in the process of building up a solution manager, we postponed this to later, but we will for sure discuss that again. If there's a way to integrate or how we integrate and which levels we are going to integrate into the solution manager, because for us the approach for Symbio and the solution manager is completely different. The solution manager for us is a tool for our SAP guys, more or less, to do their projects in solution manager, to have the solution documentation more from a technical point in solution manager. And the approach for Symbio is to really have the business processes from a user perspective, with all the guidelines, work instructions, and so forth, relevant for the user from the business units, while solution manager really is more the technical point of view. So for now, we have no integration. We've been looking at the interface, and we might come back to that later. The biggest change right now will be the end-to-end process. We think that we will have a lot of opportunities for improvement, process improvements, once we did the end-to-end processes. And of course, since the filters are brand new, we have to work on the filters, the filter criteria, and make that work globally for all the processes. And then the next step also is to bring the process model in Symbio into the world. So next week, we will discuss the Symbio process model with our colleagues in the United States. And then we will work on the next translation, maybe to Chinese, we don't know yet, and make it really a global process management. So far, we have German and English in Symbio.
Okay, thank you. Very, very nice. I think it's quite interesting to see how a hidden champion is in the points to globalize their processes, and how this challenge you can go into the future. I think it's very nice. Oh, thank you very much for this. Is there more questions, Michael? No more questions.
Just now, there are no further questions, but let's just wait another minute. If there's a question regarding to the future plans of MR, don't hesitate, just type in and Ms. McRae will answer this.
Okay. Good, thank you. So yeah, I think we are very good on time. So then I would like to switch